Immigration has been a key issue for the fascist Trump 2.0 regime, and now the federal government is continuing their attacks, this time particularly on Haitian migrants, as their temporary protected status has expired, and now the government is not fulfilling contracts with certain legal representation. But looking to New York, both Mayor Mamdani and Governor Kathy Hochul out there are working together to send legal aid to Haitian children caught in the crosshairs of the government's vitriol in this moment. But Zohran Mamdani does a better job explaining it, so let's take a look.
We are together today to speak out against a grave injustice. The federal government's refusal to renew its contract with the Acacia Center for Justice and nearly 100 more legal services providers after withholding more than $65 million in payment. As a de facto consequence of this decision, more than 25,000 unaccompanied immigrant children have had their legal representation abruptly ended, leaving them to navigate a broken immigration system alone.
These are the consequences
and for
of the
those
Trump
currently being
administration,
held
right?
in detention centers,
Disgusting.
without access to their lawyers. This means that there is no longer anyone tasked with ensuring they are healthy, they are safe, and that they are protected. That is a betrayal of some of the most vulnerable people in our city, and an insult, as the governor said, to the very ideals upon which our nation has been built.
100%.
Today, as a result of this decision, children who have fled violence, trafficking, war, and abuse will walk into courtrooms alone. Children. And they have been alone before. Many of them had no other option but to travel here by themselves across thousands of miles. When they made it here to our city, they thought that maybe the worst would be behind them, that things would be different. But now they will stand alone again as they face attacks from a trained government attorney across the aisle whose sole objective is to deport them back to the place they endured so much to escape.
It's absolutely horrific, right? And this is just a kind of breakdown of the situation that's going on. However, Zohran Mamdani and Kathy Hochul both are working together to actually fight back against Donald Trump and to send some help, some aid to these vulnerable children who are, again, yes, exactly, caught in this horrific situation. And it's basically just a deportation sentence for a lot of these kids out there. But let's take a look at what Zohran has to say about what they're doing to fight back against Donald Trump in these moments. Let's take a look.
Make no mistake about it. The refusal to renew this contract with providers who specialize in this work is nothing less than a deportation order for children as young as 5 years old. I know that there are some on the right who may delight in that. And yet what could be less American than depriving those within our justice system the fundamental right to due process?
100%, 100%. I mean, it's again the liars on the right and these people on the right, these charlatans. They'll say one thing and then it's actually the complete opposite of what they believe. These guys always talk about due process, the First Amendment, Second Amendment, the Constitution, all of these things. Well, what now? What do you say now? Because these people have a legal right to be here. They had temporary protected status. They were inside the country. They went through actually a proper channel that these guys love to talk about. And now here they are screaming and shouting about getting these 5-year-old children out of the country because they're just full of hate in their hearts. Ugh.
What is more antithetical to our values than targeting defenseless children?
Yeah, we seem to be doing that a lot these days.
Is no faraway concept. ICE operates here in New York, terrorizing our immigrant families, breaking down their doors, separating children from their parents, and casting them into this nightmare with no way out. Many of these children will appear in courthouses right here in our city, and they will do so alone as a result of this federal policy. I am deeply grateful to the governor for her quick and decisive work to close the gap created by the termination of the contract with Acacia. This $7.25 million infusion of funds for legal services providers will make an enormous difference for more than 1,000 children in New York who are currently in active removal proceedings, 251 of whom are currently in detention.
Can you imagine that? 251 children in detention for having temporary protected status and then not being revoked and then they're in jail children in jail that have to go now through this legal process with no one to help them. And here is Zohran Mamdani and Kathy Hochul and the New York government at large actually working to show their citizens that they give a damn about them, to show their constituents that we're actually going to fight for you, that we're going to stand up to the big bullies at the federal government, and we're going to say, no, fuck you guys, we're going to fight back against this in any way we can. And that includes releasing over $7 million of aid to legal fees for these children to actually be able to have a fighting chance at staying in this country that they may not know another world. Most of these kids probably do not know anything about Haiti. They may have never even lived in Haiti. And yet here they are now in this terrible, horrible situation. And the New York government is doing the little bit that they can to help them. So let's finish this out right here.
Now, nothing can undo the cruelty and injustice that these children have already experienced. And nothing can undo the suffering that ICE has visited upon so many others. But we can continue to do everything within our power to protect New Yorkers from being targeted by ICE with impunity, and to support all of our immigrant neighbors, especially Haitian and Syrian New Yorkers who have been left all too vulnerable with the revocation of their temporary protected status. Because here in New York, we recognize New Yorkers as exactly that. New Yorkers.
Phenomenal. I mean, amazing clip. And also just, yeah, a beautiful message at the end. Well, the federal government out here is spewing this racist, hateful, vitriolic bile and saying we have to hate our neighbors. We have to be distrusting of the other. We have to otherize every single person in this country that happens to not be completely white, right? Here's Zohran Mamdani saying, no, that is completely wrong, right? You have to love your fellow neighbor because they are an American, they are a New Yorker, they are a person who is trying to get by just like you and me, right? And that is the whole kind of antithesis of this message here at the last 30 seconds of this clip, is to actually just love your neighbor, right? And to work together and to have some empathy and compassion for your fellow man. And that is what Zohran right here is preaching. And that is exactly what we need more of in this country, especially in the age of Donald Trump, especially in this age of complete and utter vitriolic hate that we have been in. And it doesn't end here. His speech continues, and I wanted to end it out on this moment that he talks about right here of these clips that have been going around of just what ICE has been doing to a lot of these people. Let's take a look.
I want to lay this out one more time. The consequences of the federal policy are life-threatening. I met a Haitian New Yorker on the subway platform in Bed-Stuy who burst into tears telling me about the anxiety that she was living with. This was right before she FaceTimed her husband, who's a middle school principal, so I could meet the whole family. I'm sure many of us on this stage and in this audience have seen the video of a Haitian man collapsing to the floor when he reckons with the fact that he has to leave this country to go back to Haiti. These are horrific decisions that are being made at the federal level, and I'm proud to stand alongside a governor who is willing to put millions of dollars into the investment in the values that make us proud to be New Yorkers.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right, so then the clip ends there and it repeats. We won't go through it again. But yeah, I mean, 100%, right? I think that this is, again, another situation where Zohran Mamdani and Kathy Hochul are just on the right side of history in these moments. And they're sharing these personal anecdotes of people who are really struggling with this decision that is completely barbaric coming from the federal government. And this is exactly what we need in our leadership. This, as progressives, this is exactly what we need. Leaders who are not afraid to stand up to, the big bullies out there, people who are not afraid to actually stand up for their citizens, for their constituents, whether the law says it's right or not. We know what's right. We know what is morally correct in this situation, that these contracts should have been fulfilled. People should have this legal representation. They should have protection here in the United States. And that should be it. Right? And New York is actually putting that message out there saying, you deserve to be here. You have every right. You need legal representation to fight for your chance to stay in this country that you have grown to love, just like people born here love as well, right? Like that is the entire antithesis of all of this. And I think it is just absolutely amazing work done again from Zohran Mamdani. And if you agree with Zohran Mamdani here and that we need more leadership like this, be sure you subscribe to US Democratic Socialists. We cover progressive news and updates pretty much every single day. So be sure to subscribe down below and have a great day. I'm Iago Lashua. Have a good one. Goodbye.